Hello everyone, and welcome to lesson number 2 in this Introduction to Python course for beginners. As we said in the last video, this is a course aimed at people coming from a non-program background. What we did last time was basically install Python and start up idle, which is this Python interpreter. And we did some simple calculations like 10 plus 10, 10 times 10 times 10, etc. just to show that this interpreter can function as a simple calculator. We also display the help function, which can be used to search for different topics for further information. And we also display the print function, which took some text that me as a programmer wrote and printed out to the console. So like hello course part 2 would basically print out this text to the console, like hello course part 2. I could also like write any number like 1,000. That would also be possible for the print function to display. Now typically in a program you usually ask the user for some input information, and for that there's a special built-in function as well called input. So that is basically the reverse or the opposite of print. This is called the input, and we first type the name input, open the parentheses and say, okay, this is the text we want to display to the user. So we can imagine that we have a login form or like a game or anything else, like enter your username, for example. What's going to happen when I press enter here is we'll simulate that we have a dialog where the program asks the user for username. So I could type like here John, and that would have simulated that we've entered John, and the input function would have recorded that answer and usually stored it. We've not stored it yet. We're going to look at how we can use the variable which the user has entered. Now in order to do that, we need to understand variables. So variables are basically containers or boxes that can store a simple value or a complex value. And the way you store something in a variable is, if you've done any type of math previously, you're going to recognize and understand what this is all about. So I could say like age equal sign 25. That line is going to store 25 into the variable age. I can also write another variable like name, saying John, and that's not gonna work because I mistyped it. Should be like so, name John. So now I have two variables called name and John, and age and 25. So I could print this out, say like age 25, name is John. Okay, so this is the basic concept, that we can store values for retrieving them later using variables. And this is exactly what one could imagine in a program, that the user enters some sort of information and then we want to store it for further processing. It could be an Excel sheet information, it could be anything else. And combining what we know now about variables and input, we can actually say that we have a new variable called new name equals to input, enter your name here. Now it's going to take what's on the right hand side and assign it to new name. So if I press enter here, we still get the dialog as expected, and if I were to say that my name is Woody, I would have stored now what the user entered into the variable new name, and nothing has changed with the other variables. So I still have age, I still have name, and I still have new name. Now, so that's a basic concept of variables. We store values or complex values that can be used later in our program. And next we go on look at how we can combine variables into different sort of expressions.